what was said in Numbers 19. Do we have a door online?
Keeping people out of the church.
Purification.
Purification, I like that. So that, the overall thought was purification. So he's dealing with purification, right? How close are they into going into the promised land? How close are they going into the promised land? Huh?
I'm just guessing. Is that what you
No, but your guess is right, days. They're right, they're there now. They're getting ready to cross over. But I want you to see something. Remember they're getting ready to cross over, right? So I want you to see this because they're getting ready to cross over. Your Bible says in verse 20, it says what? Then the children of Israel, the whole congregation came to the wilderness of Zin in the first month, and the people stayed in Kadesh. And Miriam died there and was buried there. Now there were no water for the congregation, so they gathered together against Moses and Aaron, and the people content with Moses and spoke, and saying, if only we had died when our brothers died before the Lord. 4.
It says, why have you brought us up the assembly of the Lord unto this wilderness, that we and our animals should die here? And why have you made us come out of Egypt to bring us to this evil place? Is it not a place of grain or figs or vines or pomegranates? Nor is there any water to drink. So Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tabernacle of meeting, and they fell on their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them.
7.
Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, take the rod and assemble the congregation, you and Aaron, your brother, and speak to the rock before their eyes, that it pour out its water. You shall bring water to them from the rock, so you shall give the congregation their livestock drink. Moses took the rod before Yahweh as he commanded him.
10.
And Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said to them, hear now, you rebels. Must we bring water for you out of this rock? Then Moses lifted his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and water came out abundantly, and the congregation and their animals drank. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, because you did not believe me to hallow me in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore, you shall not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them.
13. Let Miriam say it over there by you. Letitia and Teresa.
This was the water of Meribah,
This is the water of Miriam.
because the children of Israel contended with the Lord, and he was hallowed among them. Now Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. Thus says your brother Israel,
I don't see
you
my
know
daughter.
all the hardship that has befallen
I'm
us.
sorry.
My daughter.
What happened? They must have lost it. Right?
Sorry.
Jim.
I have to give the reminder that.
I told you.
Oh.
She did that. 14. 15.
How our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And we cried unto the Lord. He heard our voice and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city of the uttermost of thy border. Let us pass, I pray, thee through thy countries. We will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards, neither will we drink the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed thy borders.
18, Jim.
Then Edom said to him, You shall not pass through my land, lest I come out against you with the sword. So the children of Israel said to him, We will go by the highway, and if I or my livestock drink any of your water, then I will pay for it. Let me only pass through on foot, nothing more. Then he said, You shall not pass through. So Edom came out against them with many men and with a strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his territory, so Israel turned away from him.
22, Calvin.
And the children of Israel, now the children of Israel and the whole congregation journeyed from Kadesh and came to the Mount Hor. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron at Mount Hor by the border of the land of Edom, saying, Aaron, excuse my chili. Oh, that's the wrong time. So Aaron shall be gathered to his people, for he shall not enter the land which I have given the children of Israel, because you rebelled against my word of water of Meribah. Take Aaron and Eleazar, his son, and bring them to the mount, up to Mount Hor.
26.
And strip Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son. Aaron shall be gathered and shall die there. Moses did as Yahweh commanded. They went up into Mount Hor in the sight of all the congregation.
28.
Moses stripped Aaron of his garments and put them on Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there on the top of the mountain. Then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. Now, when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, all the house of Israel mourned for Aaron 30 days.
So guys, what you see then is death twice, right?
Yeah.
What you see Miriam, now you see Aaron. Remember I made the statement. How close are they? Remember the one he said? They're days. They're less than days now. Because they're there. All they need to do is go over. So all they need to do is go up over the mountain and go down. So that's how close they are. Look how close they are. Remember something took place with Miriam. Remember? What did Miriam do? Remember something took place with Miriam earlier.
She complained.
Something else. And what?
She had complained
Yeah.
against Moses.
Against Moses, remember?
And then she ended up with leprosy.
And she ended up with leprosy, remember? And then we figured the leprosy would be the sentence, and that would be more than enough, right? Because that would be her sentence because she got leprosy.
Yeah.
And so that would be
And she
more
was
than
out
enough.
of the camp for days.
Right.
7 days.
7 days. So watch this. If this is the case, now, I don't understand it. I made the statement, and I think I made it Sunday in the class. How often have you seen wrong being done and nothing happens? You know what I'm saying? And nothing happens. They just go on with their lives. They just do what they want to do. And you be hollering, so where is the Lord? Where is the Lord? How about this one? How often have someone who's done you wrong and you like to take vengeance upon them?
Yeah.
And you really would like to get them back. And I made the statement, we don't touch them because the Lord says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. That's in the book of Romans. But watch this. But why wouldn't God allow us to apply our vengeance? He also made something in the 7th chapter of Matthew. He says, not in Matthew. It is something. He says, judge ye not. Right? For what? For lest you be judged. Meaning what?
Meaning whatever you judge, you're going to be judged.
Those are
as
the
same.
standards. You have laid the measurements. You have laid the standards out, right? So since those standards have been laid out, then that's what you two need to then be judged by, because that if it was okay for you to take those people out for that, then it should be okay for God to take you out. I've always made a statement, and a lot of times you don't even hear yourself when you really want to get back at someone. And then, believe it or not, you're asking God, where are you? Why don't you take these people out? Because they've sinned. God says, okay, then let me start first with you. Let me take you out first. Then I'll go take it around. No, wait, Lord, I didn't mean it like that. But stop and think about it. That's your judgment. So then what I want you to see is, now you're going to pull your paper, because you're going to see what's going on with this text. I always give you pretty much a summary of what's going to take place in this text. And it reads, sad experiences known to men, severe disease and sicknesses, and then eventually death. None of these are escaped by any of us. Amen. But there is a glorious news in the midst of the deepest moments of sadness and unhappiness. God promises deliverance. There is a victory triumph over all the enemies that attempt to suck the life out of us. This is the thrust of this particular chapter of the Holy Scriptures. There was the sad death of Miriam. Remember? Miriam was the sister of Moses and Aaron. But I want you to see, Miriam was of the three. Miriam was, watch this, you need to see this, because Miriam is no slouch. Miriam also played a role when it came down to the Israelites. She played a very large role. And so I put these down so you can find them. I said, she was the leader amongst the women of the nations. I got 3 facts to show us this. First, Miriam was the person who led all the women in the singing praise to God after their great delivery from the Egyptian slavery. Exodus 15, 20 through 21. Isn't that beautiful? So here we've got Miriam. So Miriam was the one that ran out. Miriam was the one that sung. Miriam was the one that sang praises. Miriam was the one that came up with the song concerning the great delivery. Then think about it. This is Miriam. So watch this. Not anybody could do this. This is what God had. She's been given a role or a responsibility that she does. I've always made the statement. And I said, I wish we had a whole audience of people, because my concern would be, do you understand your gift? Do you know what your gift is in the church? Or do you just go along, hum along, and and I think I can do this, and I think I can do that, and I think I can do this and that, and you feel that you got a hat of many different colors that you can wear. And in reality, you don't need to do half of this and half of that and half of that, because you never get anything truly accomplished. You're not truly, fully committed to what you need to do. I said, so whatever the role is, I made the statement, I said, Steve and Jason, if singing is what you do, then singing is what you do. And if God has equipped you to give you something, another role to do, then do it. So then you do it. But watch this, but don't you call something you want it to be and then call it a gift from God. Don't you dare do that. And so often do we do this. We say, well, you know what, I can sing, I can pray. I'm talking about, God, well, I can do this, I can do that. And when you do get up to do it, something's missing. You know what I'm saying? They're not as good. But watch this. And then here's what we've done to the church. We've said, well, they're beginners. So we're saying to the church, by Scripture, be patient with them. Be long-suffering with them. But watch this. But the brethren won't accept the fact that what you can't do. Hear me now. But the brethren can't accept what they can't do. So what do you mean? So then I want to preach every fourth, fifth, second, third, you name it. I want to preach. But if that's not what your calling is, so you've asked the people to be what? Patient with you, right? So how long do people got to be patient with you? For you to come to your senses and say, hey, I really enjoyed it. I tried it. I find out it's not something that God has called me. But I also know that that if need be, I can do it. If need be, for me to come up maybe once or twice, okay, sure. That's not going to create too much of a problem. But for me to keep trying this over and over and over and over, it's like, so when do you come to your senses and realize that's not your gift? When do you come to your senses? Do someone finally have to come up to you and say, well, I'm so glad you put forth a very strong effort, but you know what, brother? I'm going to ask you if you can. I'm going to come on back in, pick this up. When do you come to your senses? Give you a good example. I had a man sitting there with that blue shirt on. He came to me. He says, let me state this. I know I'm supposed to be the fourth Sunday, and I'm supposed to come up and preach. He says, but you know what? I'm going to give that back to you. And the reason why I'm going to give that back to you is because the people should all be able to hear you on one of these evenings as well. And they're not having that opportunity because all of us are doing something. And don't get me wrong, I mean, if I have to do it, I can do it, but I'm going to back down. And all Dwayne was saying was, that's not my calling. And there's nothing wrong with that. What's the beauty of it is to identify and say, no, I don't believe that's my calling. So what I'll do is I'm willing to deal with all the other responsibilities that I have to deal with. Why? Because when we play this game of wanting to do something and it's not our gift, you're held accountable. You're held accountable for that. Yes, you knew it. That's why I tried so hard, but it just doesn't click. It's just not, how about this? It's just not natural. How about this? It's just not natural to me. You get up and you don't give second thoughts about it. You go on about your business. I've seen you within an hour produce a lesson and you're back out here and it looked like you've been working on that for 400 years. That's the gift. The gift of discernment. That's the gift. Not everybody has the gift of discernment. You may declare that you have the gift of discernment, but you look out in your audience and you can't figure out why half of them are asleep while they're always putting their hand over their mouth because they're really yawning and they can't wait and then they're looking down because they're saying, when is he going to stop? You know what I'm saying? But they're trying to give you support. There comes a time when we must recognize what is and what isn't ours. And develop even stronger in what is ours. Whatever gift we have, develop it and become stronger at it. There's no way in the world I would have ever gotten up to preach. I'm telling you the truth. I can teach. Yeah, I'll teach you. I'll get up and teach you. But I ain't going to preach. No, I just ain't going to do it. And I had more people say, but that is your calling. You've been called to preach. Yeah, right. But you see what I'm saying? This is what it comes down to. It shouldn't be this is what I want to do. It should come down because others recognize that this is your ability. This is the ability that you have. Would I like to have it? Yes. But I don't. So I ain't going to get upset because I don't have it. I move on. So here's Miriam. I bet you she can sing, Calvert. I bet you she can sing. Stop and think about it. Here she is out here leading the song, and she's got a certain song that she's going to sing to them. She recognizes it. She recognizes here's an ability that she has. I've said a lot of times, even dealing with it since it is a woman, dealing it from a woman's perspective. What are you saying? Well, folks get mad when we say, well, you should be able to cook and clean. How's it go? Barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. I think that's where it used to go. But stop and think about it. And that was an insult. When it shouldn't be an insult. It really shouldn't be an insult. Why has it become an insult today? It's because you're in the working world. That's how it's become an insult today. Because you're saying, but I can do more. Well, look at where God placed you. God puts you where you are to, in Titus, the 2nd chapter. So you said, he says he wants you to love your husbands. And watch this, and then you're to nourish your children. You're to nourish them. What do you mean? Your sentence was never, whether you know it or not, to labor, hard labor. It was never. That was never your punishment. But we call it, we say women are independent. We call, even so that we don't insult anybody, we call it single parenting. Or we call it, is that what we call it, single parenting? Stop and think about it. Instead of calling it what it is, unwed mother. Call it what it is. It's a spade. I don't care for that. Then don't do it. Don't get embarrassed. It's just that simple. So now what do? I become an independent woman. And in this independency, I get so hard that I'm just like that male. You hear me? Because I got to take the lumps just like that male takes the lumps at work. I got to take the same thing. I got to take the same bruises, the same way he takes it, because I got to move on. It was never your punishment. Your punishment was to bear children. Your punishment was to do what? Nourish your children. Stop and think about it. That's what and God gave you that emotion. I don't care, Jeremy and Chris can get 70 years old and you 100. And you still say, my babies. Did you hear me? And you still say, my babies. That's what's in you to nourish your children. That emotion's going to always be there. That man he loves his children too. But his role is to make sure that they're provided and protected and sheltered. That's his role. When we step out of these roles, stop and think about it, that's a family. When we step out of those roles, can't you see now what's going on with the world? Can't you see why the world is so chaotic now? Because everybody's out their role. Nobody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. We was at some Korean barbecue place yesterday. You know where they have the little individuals, fryers, and you cook your own meat?
Oh.
Yeah, well, anyway, we was at that. And I kid you not, there was a couple in front of us, because they were sitting this way, I was sitting that way. And these two women started kissing one another. I leaned back down. I looked at them like, I just kept doing, and then you guys see one of them looking at me. And then they finally started to get their stuff and said, well, let's get on. I'm like, no, and I'm still not going back down. It's wrong. It's wrong. We have learned to, well, that's their thing. No, it's wrong. Why am I looking? Watch this. I see a sin. I see a sin, but I say it's okay. You hear me, Calvert? I see a sin, but I say it's okay. That's wrong. Stop and think about it. They did. They finally left the restaurant. But I'm like, no, I'm sorry. This is pitiful. So watch this. I want to give you the next one. I says, watch this. I brought these. I says, first Miriam she led. Then I says, the Lord himself identified Miriam as being a leader, right alongside Moses and Aaron. You see it? Then I got to back my statement. See it? Micah 6, verse 4, for I brought thee out of the land of Egypt and redeemed thee out of the house of servants. And I sent before thee Moses, see it? Aaron and Miriam. See that? So the Lord calls her a leader. So you can't remove it. So guys, what I want you to see then is, watch this. Miriam took, it is impossible to walk through life without suffering, sad, unhappy experience. But all the suffering, the leads in challenging the leadership, the authority of Moses, attempting to create some of the authority for herself and her older brothers, Aaron. This was her problem. One more time. Leadership. Knowing when to back off. She didn't. You said, and I heard you say this, Teresa. She started to complain. So watch this. It was this rebellion against God and his appointed minister that kept Miriam from ever entering what? The promised land. This is the reason she was now dying out in the wilderness or the desert. She died in the wilderness and was buried in the wilderness, not in the promised land of God. What a sad situation. I thought she had her punishment. I thought when the leprosy came upon her, I thought that was her punishment, Casey. I thought that would suffice. I thought that was sufficient enough to have that leprosy come upon her. The leprosy didn't come upon Aaron, but it came upon her.
Right.
So I thought that was sufficient.
And she was out of the camp.
And even lifted out of the camp. So I thought that was enough. And that's something, this is what I'm saying. This, we say, should have been enough. This is what I'm saying. When vengeance belongs to who? The Lord. God says that's not enough. Because you went against my servant, that's not enough. Now let's talk about it. What happened to those that went against Moses and Aaron? Remember? How many was it?
Two something at first, 1,000.
Total.
4,000. Remember? Well over 4,000 folks went down.
I thought it was 14,743.
How much?
14,743.
That's it. So it is. That's it. So, and that's over 4.
Right.
So 14,000. So think about it.
Support something.
But think about it. So stop and think about it. And they died in one day, right? So Miriam is like, woo! Right? Stop and think about it. I went against them too. But the Lord punished me with leprosy. So I got out of this. No, you didn't. Because this is the death. I told you guys, they're going to, look at this. Aaron is on a mountain where he's going to die. He can look down and see it. He ain't even get a chance to do that.
Wow.
And that's right, but isn't that something? So we've got an issue here where Miriam's the first one. You're the first of the leaders. You're the first one. Remember, your text made it clear as a bell a while back that Moses, he talked to face. Remember that? But the rest of them,
to them in a dream.
I'm so glad you remember that, Calvin, but that's it. The rest of them, he came, Miriam and Aaron, he came in a dream. And the others, he came in a dream. But Moses, he talked face to face. Moses was truly then the leader. Moses was truly then their mediator. Moses truly was. Well, you talked against Moses. You talked against your Savior, in so many words. You talked against your salvation. Because of that, remember, their salvation would have been what? The promised land. Remember, it would have been the promised land. Well, God then what? Now he cuts Miriam off where she doesn't get to see the promised land. Guys, think about it. At least let me see it. She doesn't even get to see the promised land. We're going to go farther into this, and neither does Aaron. But watch this. Huh?
Do they go to heaven?
That would be something that God would work with. That would be something that
It's-
God
I
would
was
do.
just thinking that's almost like blasphemy against God because
Because you went
you're
against-
basically going against God. You're talking against Moses.
Well, that's what they were saying. This is why she didn't make it, because she talked against God. I told you a lot of times we look at it, he looks like a man, talks like a man, walks like a man, but he's God's man. Big difference. And so, wait a minute, and I'm sure Miriam said even one deeper than that. And he's just my brother, Calvert. I'm sure she even said that, and he's just my brother. Yes.
Well, I think two leaders, leaders that got appointed have a short leash.
Leaders at one time.
They have a short leash.
Oh, gotcha. I see what you're
A
saying.
short, I mean,
No, you got it.
like you said, for others,
Right.
members, but with
God
members,
waits-
when
God-
you're leading God's people, you got a short leash.
Because he's saying you know.
Right.
So you know better. You're leading my people. You then would know the word. So why would you do something of this magnitude when you know better? That's why he says that your flames, your fire will be, there will be a greater condemnation for those who desire to teach, because you know the scriptures. Or if you, and watch this, and if you desire to teach, and watch this, and I told you, better recognize your gifts. You better identify them, because if that's not your gift, the ability to teach, I strongly suggest you leave it alone. I strongly suggest you leave it alone. Why? Because then you've been also identified as a leader. Anytime you're in front of God's people, you better set you down. Did you hear me? You better set, I talked about that Sunday. You better set self down. Self better get out of here so that God's word can be delivered, and not building self up, making self sound like self is all that and then some. Better get past all that, because that's going to create major problems for you. So then watch this. So now we got Miriam, right? Well, at verse 1. Right?
Verse what?
At verse 1. 20 verse 1 says what? Then the children of Israel, the whole congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin. In the first month, the people stayed in Kadesh. And Miriam died there and was buried there. She didn't move, no movement took place. She's gone. She's no longer around, right? She's no longer around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so what does verse 2 say?
There was no water for the congregation, and they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron.
I got a problem. 1 says what? Watch 1. 20 verse 1 says what?
Then the children of Israel, the whole congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the first month, and the people stayed in Kadesh. And Miriam died there and was buried.
Then 2 says what gets in?
And there was no water for the congregation, and they gathered themselves together against Moses and
What's wrong, guys? What am I seeing that's wrong? Look at it.
They
Look
moved.
at it. What do you see? Something should have took place. What do you see?
No,
Huh? No what?
no burial, funeral, or
Well,
mourning,
she said they
or
buried it, so they had a funeral.
oh yeah, buried, but no.
There was no water for the congregation.
Well, I see that too.
They gathered themselves against Moses.
So I can see, and I can see that too. I'm just like you. I read just like you read. So then what is it that you don't see that should be there? Because I can read just like you can. As I say, when we start teaching people, you want the in-depth. You have the ability to read, but you want the in-depth. Am I wrong? Don't you want the in-depth of what's going on?
the purification.
Well, we're not in the purification. Something else is going on. Where's the mourning?
Oh,
Where is it? Yes! Where's all the mourning and crying and sadness and the whole bit?
because they wanted to complain.
Well, watch this. But where is it? This is what I'm saying. Not even the complaining yet. Where is this? Miriam is a leader. 30 days, I should be mourning, right? I should be upset. But I'm not upset. What I'm looking for is what? What you just say now? Water.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sorry you're dead. Now, can we get something to drink?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the, where's the compassion?
Yeah, that's what I.
You see what I'm saying? There's no compassion. You know what? Hey, Aaron, Moses, I feel so sorry for you. You know, are you going to be all right? Let me make a meal or two for you. I'll drop about a tent.
No, instead they started complaining.
They, watch us, we can't bring you no water because we ain't got none. But you hear me? Just that quick, the complaints come up. What is wrong with that picture? Guys, remember, what were the parents that could not cross over? What were they to do to the children?
Teach them.
Do what? Teach them. What were they to teach them?
How to obey God.
You there. You can't get it no simpler. To obey God. To reverence God. To acknowledge God. Whatever God says, whenever those leaders, it has been proven, Moses and Aaron are the leaders. So whatever they say, whatever we do it. We do not complain because we saw
14,000.
14,700.
Because we saw 14,000 drop behind disobedient. Stop and think about it. First we saw 2. Then we saw 250. I mean 3. Then we saw 200 go, 250 go down. Then we see 14,000. What in the world is going
Moses was
on?
running, wasn't he running? And as he was running, trying to, get ahead of the.
Oh no, it wasn't Moses, that was Aaron.
Oh, Aaron?
He said Aaron.
Yeah, okay.
He told Aaron to take his staff and go. Hurry up.
Yeah, and
Hurry,
then as he
before
was
the
running,
meeting.
I guess people was dropping.
Dropping
That's
as he's running.
Yep.
That's trippy.
Isn't that something? Like you said though,
I'm like, wow.
that's scary if
He
you
was
start to
trying to
think about
stop it, but they were dropping as he was running.
Can you imagine, we said not 4,000, 14,000. Can you imagine how fast he had to run to get in front of that plane? Stop and think about how fast he's got to run. We said not 4, think about 14,000 people. Stop to think about it. Yeah, okay. But stop and think about it. That means he's got a haul to get in front of those. He's got to get in front of the plane. He's got to cut it off.
Out of millions.
Dwayne though, because he said he used to run track. So you know how fast you got to haul to get there. I mean, Moses got his little robe on, Aaron got a little robe on, he hauled it. They said, Lord, clock it, somebody clock it. Lord, that's a world record, okay? Okay.
Be ahead of Aaron.
Okay. But can you imagine? Here's what's going on.
That's a trip.
Yeah, here's what's going on. So now we got people complaining. I can't believe this.
And they complain.
Now there was no water for the congregation. That's what your Bible says. Now there was no water for the congregation. Right?
Yeah.
So they gathered together against Moses and Aaron.
So that tells you there that they didn't realize why Miriam died.
Or, right, that's one. Or what it also tells me too is this. Apparently you're not listening to your parents.
Yeah.
Apparently you're not obeying them. Because if they were to bring you up and to educate you, I mean, they've got an experience in front of them to tell them about. Girl, sit down somewhere, 14,000 left this world the same day. Why? Because they were disobedient. We don't never want to, and what do you mean disobedient? We was all grumbling. We was all grumbling. If it hadn't been for Aaron getting in front of that plague, we was all dead. You hear me? That would be a lesson. And it would be a lesson that you would always, because a child is going to always then come against you again. So, hey, you would always do what? Remind that child. I am to always remind that child. You're going to see it in Joshua, where he's going to tell them to put it on their foreheads, put it on their hands, put it on their eyelids, watch this, to always remember God, to always be obedient. But can you imagine, after all this that has happened, all you've got now is children 20 and above that when this took place, 20 and under, when this all took place. So you have kids that are now, these are kids that are now complaining.
Oh.
Where's the grown-ups? These are kids, the grown-ups know better. Don't you dare complain. So pull your papers. I got the latter part of it, was still in one. I got, there was the sad continued grumbling of the people over no food.
No water.
Come on.
There was a clear picture of how children followed in the footsteps of their parents. On several occasions, the parents had grumbled over inadequate food and water supply. Exodus 15, 22, 26.
It's there. Yeah.
They had demonstrated little faith in God and His gracious provisions. Their unbelief cut the heart of God, causing great pain for Him. For He loved them dearly. They allowed a seed of unbelief, stubbornness, resistance, and hardness of heart to take root against God.
I've made this statement, I can't say it enough. I use the word again. You need to certainly look at it. I said it was a seed. See that? Something so tiny that Satan uses. Satan uses something so tiny to distract you. Something that you don't even give second thought about. But this is what Satan uses. I told you, if there was something big, you'd recognize it and say, that's the work of Satan. But Satan uses something so little to cause you to disobey God. Remember, I've used this over and over. My Bible study. I don't come to Bible study. It's no big thing. My coming late to Bible. It's no big thing. These are seeds that Satan uses. God is saying you got to always be obedient for me to recognize it. God says, do not be obedient. That's a one thing. That ain't a whole, remember, that ain't a whole lot of things. It's just the one thing. Didn't he give Eve one thing? One thing.
Yeah.
Not eat of this forbidden fruit. One thing. Satan turned around and says, because it's so small, look, you can handle it. Look at this. Pull it off the tree. You can handle it. It's no big thing. You have to look, eat it. Go ahead and eat it. It's no big. See? Look, you didn't die. You see that? Little bitty things. You didn't die. Adam, eat it. You see? You didn't die. So you see what I'm talking about? What do you mean you're putting clothes on? What do you mean you got to go put some leaves around us? See what I'm saying? You just learned how to die. You just learned that you're going to die. Because you, at one time, didn't know you were naked. Now, all of a sudden, you do know that something's wrong. You're beginning of decaying has just begun. It's the little things, not the big things, that Satan uses to deceive us with. Yes.
Oh, I had a question about the water.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't say a period of time. It doesn't say they were dying of thirst. It doesn't say, I mean, I don't know, for them to complain immediately.
Oh, you're trying to say, when did they complain? When did they start?
Yeah, it just says, and there was no water for
Now, there was
after
no-
the death, there was no water for, or after burial, there was no water for the congregation. So I'm like, they're not dying of thirst. I mean, I'm just.
I know, I hear you. It makes sense because all of a sudden now we're complaining about water and you're saying, so when did they start complaining about, were they super thirsty? That's what you're saying. And I don't believe they were either, to be honest with you. I believe this came into mind because I look up and there's no water. So I want to get some water. My son explained something to me. I told you all he's a chief engineer. He's learned this. How many buy bottled water?
How many buy?
How many people actually buy bottled water? Stop it.
Stop.
Yeah, you're not, because it's,
Stop buying it.
It's a gimmick.
yeah.
It's a gimmick.
And he decided to show me. I know this, we on water, so I want you. I couldn't believe it either. So he's got to show me from a chemist side. He's H, blah, 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 blah. And I said, come on, I can't, all these numbers and you figuring this out. He says, I have to know this. So let me tell you so you know. He says, when you go out to buy water and it's alkaline or whatever you call it, he says, purified. The minute you take the top off, the second you take the top off, it becomes H2O again. No, nothing. Just plain water again. You knew it too? Just.
I heard something like that.
I heard it too, but I couldn't believe it. But he had to show me from a chemist side. I said, no, well then what I need to do is I need to hurry up and drink it. He says, Dad, I don't care how quick you drink it. It becomes regular water.
Just regular water.
Just regular water.
On top of that, you got little teeny tiny microplastic particles inside the.
Already inside, right, from the plastic in it. And I says, you got me. He gave that to me. He says, so all this you're spending to go out.
Faucet water.
It's just making companies
good.
richer is all it's doing.
It's
It's
good.
what?
Making companies richer.
That's all it is. He says, it's a waste of time. But he says people don't know that.
Think
So-
about it, when you were growing up, you didn't pay for water.
You sure did.
And now all of a sudden we're paying for water? Really?
Yeah,
Why
'cause
would you
we
pay
just
for water?
used to just go to the faucet and just.
And got you a
get
glass of water.
Exactly.
But somebody told you it doesn't taste the same.
Yeah.
The same, right? Somebody said this tastes.
Don't look the same either.
Well, okay, what you say? And it doesn't look the same. So what did you do?
Better than me.
So I see a Bible here. So what did you do? You went out and said, you're right. It went into your head too. So you went out to go buy a bottle
Well,
of
if you're taking it
water.
out of it.
Man, you know, when we were little, playing on the playground. That faucet water was nasty. You know that. Come on, tell the truth.
You drunk that faucet
That
water.
faucet water was nasty.
I'm gonna give you one better than that. You also ate dirt. Come on now. Okay. So stop and think about it. So stop and think about it.
Dirt was good
You
back
had your
then.
mud pies too. Come on now. Okay. But stop. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying. So, but all of a sudden you got a little. You came in here and got a little bougie. Got a little. Somebody told you that you know what you need to drink like what is it? You say this water. I don't mean no harm. Ronnie will fight tooth and nail to tell you. Am I right? What's in this water? And this is and it cleanses and it does all of that. And I would love for him and my son to connect. Because he would be saying something. My son is going to put it out from a chemical thing. He says, remember, I am a chief engineer. I'm no longer even a nuclear engineer. He says, I'm another step higher where I have to know the mathematics. I have to know this stuff. He said, he decided, I'm talking about yesterday, no, the day before yesterday, I'm eating, and Renee had ran this by me that he had said this once before, I haven't paid no mind. And I think I must have had a bottle of water or something. And he says, I don't know why you all are buying water. I says, what do you mean, why are we buying water? He says, I mean, he didn't say it, he just said, look, Dad. He gets a pen and paper. He starts to write down all these formulas. And I'm saying, Jarrell, these formulas mean nothing to me. You doing all this stuff that mean nothing to me. I says, I'm still trying to figure out, is 1 + 1 2? Okay, I'm still trying to figure that out, okay? But I said, and when he started to show all this, then he says, what the bottom line is, he says, the water that you have out of your tap, drink it. He said it's just as good. Put some ice in if you want to and make it cold.
But isn't it like stuck in the faucet water? I mean, you know.
Watch this. Well, he says, watch this, and he used this too. So, and watch this, and he used this too. Your water hits what? No, what does your water hit? Ground.
Yeah.
Your water hits ground.
Yeah.
Then they take it through machines to make you feel, watch this, we got a filter. So we take what you was talking about, that funny stuff. We take what that, so that you don't see it, so it looks clear, crystal clear. Huh?
You say you're going to stop using your filter?
Watch this, watch it. So it looks crystal clear, right? But it ain't but H2O. That's all it is. He said you would go out and spend all that money, but ain't nothing but H2O. The minute he says the lid, I said, wait a minute, remember I told you how to drink it fast? He said, you can drink it as fast as you want. The minute you break it, that seal, it's all them alkalines and all that is gone. He said it is back to H2O. I said, well, ain't this a blimp? Watch this, but Jamal, but I heard you say, you mean you're not going to use a filter? That shows, watch this, how stubborn we are. Because this is what we have been taught, we stick to it. It shows how stubborn they are. Because they have been taught this, because they've been told this, what are they doing? They are rebelling. The Israelites are rebelling. They're doing the same thing, they're rebelling. Watch this. God said that he would provide for them. God, watch this, if this is the issue, if this is the issue, according to your tube, says there was no water, right? Then what can that be? If I've been in a desert for 40 years, if that's the case, remember that's where they are. If that's the case, who's been providing water for them? You're in a desert. Stop and think about it. You're in a, you hear me, Teresa? You're in a desert.
Yeah.
There's no wells. You can't dig up no wells. You're in a desert. Remember, they're traveling. Remember that. They're traveling, right? So they ain't got time to dig no wells to hunt for water. So then it would show, it would say then that has been God that has always provided for them. So how in the world did you all of a sudden go or fall into the act of disobedience? How do we fall into the act of disobedience? When we know it's God that wakes us up every morning. Hello? When we know it's God that wakes us up every morning. When we look around and none of us in this room are missing a meal. Stop and think about it. Do we too take God for granted? Yeah. Right. Remember I said Sunday. We have faith. And by the way, we don't have trust. Faith and trust are not the same. Faith, I believe in God. Satan himself said he believed and trembled. But where is the trust? Where they have said, we believe in God. Then God sends another test their way. Here's the test. The test is, you've watched me, you've witnessed me take Miriam out now. Miriam is dead now. You've buried Miriam. It is now time to move on. But in your moving on, all you can holler for is water. Why don't you holler for the Lord? Yes.
But is that, I think, and I can use myself, growing up, you know, your parents made you go to church.
Come on.
Or worship, okay. Well, back then it was, they made you go to church.
Yeah, church. I got
church.
it. I've been with you.
But you come to a point where now you're of age. So why do I go?
Okay. Okay.
Because I'm used to going.
Like you
But
said,
I still
that's
haven't
it.
developed a trust yet because I've been going because my parents made me go.
A ritual that you never took from, watch this, from a positive side. That ritual that your parents made you do, you didn't quite understand because you didn't take the time to understand. As a matter of fact, you started to get upset because your friends on Sundays is doing something else. And here you are, got to get dressed and go down to the church building. And so what did you do? You built a rebellion in you. I ain't wearing no tie. I ain't doing this, right? I ain't gonna do this. Why should I do this? Why should I do that? Why? Well, I mean, when I get there, I'll get there when I get there. So you don't realize that you started to build a resistance, a rebellion in you. Failing to understand if you'd have taken the time to study God's word with understanding. We can read it all day long. But with understanding, you'd have found out what your parents were asking of you was something good. Not something bad. It was something good.
Unless their leadership was void.
Uh-oh. No, you got going.
Something, you doing something else.
You got, you there.
I'm just saying, like.
No, you there. Dropping the kids off.
Like, I would see my aunts and uncles drop my cousins and stuff off to my parents while they go out and do their thing. But you getting on the child talking about this is what you need to do, but you doing something opposite. And then the pastor, he's sleeping with all the women in the church. So what am I supposed to do?
You got it. And I'm supposed to believe in, and he's supposed to be the one that we look at as God's man.
How's he getting away with that?
You know what I'm saying? And wait a minute. And so, where is my respect, watch this, for God? Because I'm looking at the vessel that he has that I am to basically follow. Because he's to teach me the word of God. No, I hear you. So then what am I to do? That's why I said, once again, when I start off, not everybody need to be preachers. Not everybody need to be teachers. Not everybody need to be song leaders. Hello, these are leaders. Hello, these are leaders. I want to come up front and I want to serve the communion table, but I don't want to do nothing else.
Well, and then
I'm the first one out the door when the service ends.
you're right.
Amen.
And to the child's defense, a lot of parents tell, I was told, a child is to be seen, not heard. Well, what am I supposed to do?
Okay, there you go. I sort of say, Calvin, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, because he comes down here, he sees them. They racing out of here. Why are you racing out here? I've always said, where you got to go? Where really do you have to go? Probably to cook. Where do you really have to go? Probably what? To you would say clean up. That one's kind of hard for me to digest.
But it's not even all about that.
Come on.
It's just that they're stuck in a cycle. And you're just so used to routinely staying in that cycle, you don't even give a second thought about what you're doing. It's just automatic. You do it. And no matter what, you can sit up here and say something sound and profound. And it don't even register because I've done nothing to break the cycle. For anything to come in and change it.
What was your, Dwayne, this is what we're talking about. Remember, because I've talked to you several times. You need to understand, when I was growing up, I'd always wear tie. Remember that? I'd always wear that. And Pastor, I don't quite always, I don't quite agree with that. I just, I don't understand why I can't just, what did you say, Calvin? Because I'm trying to get you to break the cycle. I'm trying to get you to break it. They made you do it. Now you can do it on your own. Now you know what its purpose was. I am going to be my best before the Lord. Somebody say, well, I don't know. Well, I am at my best before the Lord. Well, let me drop this one on you. So if you're going to a wedding, do you wear jeans into that wedding? If there's a formal event, but that your best, you spend $700 on a pair of slack jeans and a shirt. So surely you should wear it, because my suit didn't cost but $300. So your outfit is much more expensive than my little suit. So surely you should come in on a formal event in a pair of jeans and a shirt. Why is it you know how to dress when the world asks of you to dress a certain way? You don't complain. As a matter of fact, come on, Teresa, I gotta give me a
new outfit. Get my nails done.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about. So you hear me say, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, don't look at her without looking at you. Come on now. Okay, gotta get a new outfit, gotta get you some, get your hair did.
No. I'll wear my hair curly before I do anything.
Okay.
And I'll put on some jeans and some heels. That's why I always keep nice heels.
But watch this. But I even wear some heels, and we love some heels. But I even wear some nice heels. But this is my point. We know how to dress when we need to dress.
Yeah.
We know how to dress when we need to dress. And I don't know, but I thought God was number one.
He is.
So I thought if we wanted to dress, that would be the time for us to dress for Him.
Absolutely.
I certainly want to look good for the Lord. I know that. Remember we talking about clothes. But this is what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, wait a minute, God is number one. You're right. I wouldn't want God to see me in certain outfits.
True.
So watch this. Let me pay.
Well, I think
So now you're going to get a new outfit.
we have to be careful, because now everybody have like really dressed, outfits are the best, What if they are like one our friend Augustus?
Watch this. I guarantee you they have their best. I guarantee you.
Augustus.
Even that's his best. I guarantee you. That's what we keep missing. Well, they don't know. That is their best.
It's the state of mind.
Yes, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. That state of mind said, yes, I am okay. This is okay with me. I don't have a problem with it. I am dressed nice. Some of them, that's what I'm talking
He wore a
about.
nice shirt that Sunday.
He did. But that's what I'm saying. And watch this. I made the statement, I think it was to Gates here. She said, well, my mama found that she finally comes over, she may take her shoes off and run up and down the house. I said, watch this. I said, I don't have a problem with it. As a matter of fact, I'll get out of the way and let her run up and down the house. I said, but here's my point. How long will you do this? You probably won't do it too often because you feel so alienated. So then you stop and think about it. Well, watch this. This is how we should feel before the Lord. When we're not doing right for the Lord, we should start feeling alienated. Wait a minute. I noticed, I remember Paul made a statement to me. He says, I thought if I had your zeal, your desire, no matter what goes on, you're going to make sure that you make it to worship. You're going to make sure that you're teaching. I don't know what gives you that zeal. I said, you don't? You don't? Go.
See, a lot of people don't feel that way because they don't stay in the Word.
Hello.
They don't feel that.
Hello.
So you can do those things
Hello.
when you're not a part of it.
Come on, like you
When
said.
you're a part of it, you're right. You should feel some kind of way.
Okay.
Something should hit,
Get
just
home.
like you say, if you stay in the Word, it's guaranteed to change you.
Come on.
Ain't no ifs, ands,
I
and
like
buts
that. I like that.
It's guaranteed to
It
I
change.
like
will
that.
change.
I like that.
Trust me.
Yeah.
And so when I see this one,
That's the reason why the Old Testament study is so important, because the Bible says the Old Testament is for our learning,
Yes.
for our instruction. And if you look at it, you understand that whenever the people were to appear before God, they were at best. So the Old Testament, we're really going into detail on that. Whereas
True
in the New
that.
Testament, it talks about how we should dress. It talks about women dressing modest.
Yeah.
It talks about the things, right? But the Old Testament gives you
Details.
the detail.
Sure does. Those priests, all those garments they had to put on,
Well, that's true.
all those garments, not just one a pair of robe and going back out there and some sandals. No, all of those garments, and then not
Before
only
they
the
go
garments.
into the Holy of Holies.
Yes, but not only the garments, but they had to be put on properly. So you're right, detail. But I told you, I've heard this too many times. Well, God is interested in our internals, not necessarily our external. I says, I'm sorry, I majorly struggle with your thoughts. Because if you're telling me God ain't interested in who I am, then shame on God for thinking like that. Because if that's the case, then I do what I want to do. Because it ain't nothing but my external doing it.
That's justification.
That's exactly what it is. But we know God is interested in the whole man. After all, I think He created the whole man.
Well, we're the temple. Our physical is the temple that houses the Holy Spirit. So when we really, and this is why the Old Testament is so important, when you look at how He wanted, when He told Moses, make the tabernacle, He said, make sure to follow the instruction because it's a copy of the things in heaven.
That's what He said.
You know, so when you look at the detail and how beautiful He wanted it, you start to understand that this tabernacle, what it housed, it housed God's Spirit.
That's right.
You know, the glory of God.
That's right. That's what it housed, the glory of God.
On the Ark of the Covenant, between those cherubim, right? So we start to understand that. Now we see that, okay, well, we are that temple today. We're the temple.
Okay.
That's how God wants His temple.
Absolutely.
You know? That's why when I was younger, I got a tattoo. But now that I have the understanding,
Come on.
if I had to do all over again, I wouldn't do it.
Gotcha.
Because I understand that, look, God doesn't want all this foreign stuff in my body. You know,
There you
my
go.
body, He don't want all that. You know? That's why He killed, when he killed Aaron's two, no, hold on. When He killed Aaron's two sons, they brought in what? That's 4 and incense.
That's right.
Yeah. Brought in 4 and incense.
And you're right. That's why I said this is serious. That's why I said this is serious. Sister Nana, and I'm so glad. I told you, I've heard you say that more than once. I'm so glad I sat here on the Old Testament. I'm learning so much now of what God requires of us. A lot of times you hear me, you thinking I'm beating you. I think the other week you said, no. You did not beat me down. You said that message was for me. Remember you said, no, that message was for me. And I said, wow, you said, no. That message was not a beat down. That message was to encourage me.
Yeah.
So that tells me your thinking is changing. It's transforming to you. Now you're beginning to say, wait a minute, it ain't Pastor that's beating me down. Pastor is trying to build me up. He's trying to encourage me, get me to understand God loves you so much, but He requires that we change. He requires that we move forward in life. I had another brother right after I had Sunday I couldn't believe it, back to back counseling. But I couldn't believe it. I said, after I walked into that door, I says, brother comes to me, wants to talk to me and share some stuff with me. And I can't believe it. And I'm saying, and when I finally finished, I said, you know what your real problem is? You know why you can't let go of some things? He said, I said, because you don't study.
Amen.
I said, that's really what it is. He said, what? I said, and God forbid you make a Bible study. He just said, huh? I said, and God forbid you make a Bible study. I says, teachers, I should not have to require you to come to Bible study in order to be a teacher. You should be wanting to be here because this is your chance to finally watch this. I'm always talking every Sunday. Hallelujah. Let me run in here and sit down and get fed myself. That's really the way it should be. But we've got those that are instructing children, instructing others that don't make it. I says, and I think you all noticed, I don't say too much no more. I pulled back now. I unplugged it. Why you unplug it? Because you're going to do what you want to do anyway. So you're going to have to answer to God. Why? Because you chose to be a teacher. You chose to be this. Because of this, you're going to have to answer to why you abandoned the children, why you did whatever you did. You're going to have to answer to God why you walked away from them. Because watch this. You can't be a temporary teacher. Not in God's kingdom. Y'all hear me right? Just like I can't be a temporary preacher. You can't be a temporary teacher. If you take on the teaching role, you've been stamped. You're now in the blood. Your condemnation is, well, I ain't going to teach no more. God says at the still, right there tells us right there is what I can condemn you for. Because you knew what you walked into. If you didn't want to be it, first of all, you can't teach if you ain't sound. Hello. That's first of all, you ain't got no business teaching and you don't know what you're teaching on. So you ain't got no business doing it. So God's got you either way. You're in. You're in this for life. So what do? I develop what I've chosen, what God has allowed me to be in His church. I develop it. And so the only way I can develop it is, I know there's a concert, but I haven't studied. I got to get in here and pick this up. Do you hear what I'm saying? I understand. Y'all finna run off into, I would love to, but I know it ain't what somebody else know. It's you got to answer. That's where I'm at. We'll get to 3 next, next week. But I want you to see this. Miriam is gone already, and we got a water complaint. And we got folks complaining about water as if your parents didn't teach you about them 14,000 that died. As if your parents didn't teach you about the 250 that died. As if your parents didn't teach you about the 300 that died. As if your parents didn't teach you about why they haven't crossed over to the promised land. A journey that was less than 2 weeks. And you'd have been into the promised land less than 2 weeks. And you'd have crossed over into the promised land. But it's now taken you 40 years. And you still haven't, according to the text, you still haven't crossed over yet. You, this less than 2 weeks, they could have been there. If you go back and look at it, and then and watch this, you can do this yourself. All you got to do is put Egypt, and then go look at your Canaan. That's where they're going. And you'll see, it's not that far. What happened? Wait a minute, so what did you say, Dwayne? So, you know what I'm saying? Have you ever did this? You can't, that sort of like I've been there before. You know what I'm saying?
So that's like applying to, like, let's put it today, your trial. Okay, that test that
do it over.
You do it over.
Do it over.
That's what it seemed like.
Do it over.
You know.
I've been here before.
Yeah.
You know, Sister Thompson was around the corner from you.
Yes, sure did. Sure did. Been here, been there, done that. What are you talking about? Deja vu is what they call it. Deja vu. Ain't no deja vu.
Have not been through this already.
Right. And here I go again. When do I stop? And that's what I said. Me and Claudia was talking about that last Wednesday. I said, and so what do I do now? I said, when things come into my life and they really disappoint me and they rock my world and they hurt so bad. Instead of me asking why, I said, Lord, you're teaching me something.
Yeah.
Now, Lord, help me to see what it is you teach. I don't want to go to this no more. So, Lord, show me what you were supposed to show me that I've been missing 400 times. Show it to me so I don't have to take this journey anymore. That's it. That's what it comes down to. And so that's why I said to all of watch this, not only did you hear it, but also my wife heard it. I said, we can talk about our jobs all day long. Or we can become positive. You feel better. But you know what I mean? You feel better. But yet, them the same old people that you asking God, God, change them. God said, I ain't changed you yet. How am I supposed to change them? Did you hear me? You won't change, so how am I supposed to change them? And you are mine. You belong in the church. You're mine. I can't change you. So how am I supposed to change? Why should I change them when you are? I said, y'all was there, and I got to stop. But you all was there Sunday. I said, then go back and look at the text that I read. Just understand it. He said that the righteous shall burn. Yeah. Remember he said that the righteous shall barely enter. Why are we? So he said, so you know what to expect of the world. God ain't going to have to judge the world. The world is already doomed. Judgment is us. I mean, judgment is us. So who he's going to judge is us. Well, let me see. Let's see, Warren, you've been in the world, so you never obey me, never obey me. So why I need to judge you? Why I need to waste my time judging you? You never obeyed me. No, let me talk to somebody that knew, that came to me, and still remained disobedient to me. Those are the ones that I need to judge. Those are the ones that I need to work on. That other stuff, that's already on its way to hell. Don't even waste your time. Go after that which claims they believe, but their problem is this. I told you, this is big. Think about it. Where's your trust? Your belief is there. Where's your trust? Are there any statements that need to be